You know what I mean? And if thanks to the people them said them like last week reasoning with the sister in them, it was very informative. It was very thought provoking and it was jolly. It was reminiscing, the good old days. You know what I say? Today we are kick off the reasoning. We are going to link up Sister Pauline from Fairfield House. Talk about the victory day. That is the otherwise called Patriotic Day. That is the 5th of May. When Rasi Selassie I returned upon him throne after a year in exile in England for 5 years. See, because victory to some people is different. You know what I mean? Like success is different towards or some people look upon it. Saying, yeah. So victory there it was for the patriot them and the warrior them who start flee Ethiopia and them in the fascist invasion Mussolini and World War II. Saying, but we will link up Sister P and we'll kick off the reason from there. Because all the people them went back to school for all of the school teacher all free paper bun again. Bank holiday we was outside. You know what I mean? We was in Bath. Then we left from Bath and we go up in a Bristol go celebrate Talman Earth Strong with Belly Ranks and the full. You know what I mean? Holy pa Birmingham Monday in the building. It was a good look. Nah lie. Enjoy the settings and we fly back down. And Sunday we outside barbecue. And yeah, weekend we full joy. So right now we come like tiredness, catch up and I you know what I mean? Yeah, come outside like the bird. See, rest I live a life. I love the life you live. In a real life. We're gonna link up Sister P and we could just jump straight to the reasoning. In a real life. Because Sister P is the lady that I run Fairfield House, that is the house of His Majesty when he was in England here in Bath City. So may I say, yeah. Greetings, Sister P. Miss Wallace, can you hear me clearly?
I can hear you very clear.
How is your day, love?
Oh, it was a very emotional, but you know what? That's part of life.
Part of life.
When one life come and one life is leaving, so it's a cut of emotion there.
So the person you was talking about, did they pass?
No, 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 but you know, they're on that journey. They're on
Okay,
that
okay,
journey.
they're on the last leg. So
Mhm.
condolences.
Yeah.
Them say from the home to the tomb, when we must get there one day somehow. You know what I mean? It is not an elite zone.
No, man, it's not unique. It's every other we have to face that. So
All of
all
we
we
have to
know is
face
that
that.
we
But
just full of each other.
in the African proverbs, them say when someone is born, that is the time we must mourn.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And when
Mm-hmm.
someone passed, that is the time we must rejoice and celebrate their life.
That's
That is
true.
how the Africans they do it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because bringing a child in
You
this
don't
time.
know that future. You don't know, and some of
Exactly.
us find it out. They have it too. So,
So Miss Wallace, introduce yourself for people who don't know you. Let's get into the reasoning.
well, thank you so much for that respect, Miss Wallace. I'm Pauline Swaby Wallace, and I've known Rasi for a long time, and we know each other through Fairfield House. So that's our link, and that is our heartbeat, and I'm sure that's what he wants to talk about tonight.
Yes, we want to talk about your position at Fairfield House. And yesterday was Victory Day,
Yes,
1941, when His Majesty returned from 5 years of exile in that same house that you are one of the CEO of right now. So
mhm.
explain your position at Fairfield House, please.
All right. My position at Fairfield House started about 33 years ago. I was involved in an organization called sorry, called BEMSCA, Bath Ethnic Minority Senior Citizens Association. We had just formed and we were in a community center away from Fairfield. At that time, Fairfield House had come up, that closing down of the care home that it had served for 30 years. So the council were making a decision as to what to do with it. So, of course, to sell it would have been their first choice, but it was made known to the community, to some Rastafari, especially Rastafandeli and others, and also the Ethiopian family, what they were planning. So people came together and said, no, it was the wish of His Majesty that it was used as a care for the aged. And I think that that word is very strong for the age of Bath. So we were one of the organization alongside Age UK and a Peggy Dodd, which was a dementia project, and also a campaigning group. So we all were given a space in the house, 2 days, 1 day. We're the only one that's there today because, as time go on, funding for people were cut, but we are the strong force people that we were not going to be forced out of Fairfield House. So we saw what Fairfield House was and what it meant to us. It wasn't just a space just for the daycare, but it was a heritage space. It was a cultural space. So yeah, so we had a lot of fight going on for that. So I wasn't the manager at the time. I was just a volunteer. I was on the committee, and eventually I became the manager. And from that day onwards, working with many others to secure Fairfield House, to support the elders of Bath, to be at Fairfield House, and to be, if anyone has been to Fairfield House, to see the difference that that 30 years has made, that we can have that space for the celebrations that we do, for the life of Rastafari, for the Ethiopian diaspora, for the Caribbean diaspora, for the local community, for international, So it's such a wonderful space that does so many things.
So you've been in Fairfield House for 30 odd years.
Since 1994.
You know 94 where I was.
At school.
Exactly. That's a good guess. I was at school. You know what I
Oh,
mean? I was at school just leaving Kingston College. You know what I mean? And
oh,
so from that time to 2026, what have been your challenges, and from 30 odd years, what have the difference you have seen in Fairfield House? Because we understand the council has sold some of the property, but where the main building is, actually secure that. So,
yes.
so of these 30 odd years, tell me the highs and the lows that you have seen and been through.
Okay, so the first day I walked into Fairfield House, to be introduced to Fairfield House, I met Ras Bandeli. I've known Ras Bandeli a long, long time, so that was a nice surprise. And although Ras Bandeli and I knew each other and moved in circles, but we never was spoken of Fairfield House because that was never on our agenda. And even though I lived in Bath and I heard His Majesty lived in Bath, I didn't even know where His Majesty lived until that day when both of us were invited by the council to come and visit Fairfield House. So we were not going to have,
So,
an opportunity to be in Fairfield House. President Delhi, through gatherings, myself through the day service. So on behalf of the Race Equality Council at the time, I went because I was one of the directors on that organization. So
that was based in Bath as well.
that was based in Bath, where
Okay.
what Pras Mandela was based in Bristol.
Okay.
So we came together, and at that time, I think as I walked in the house, I can't even describe the feeling. I can't even describe the emotion without even knowing why I had that emotion. I just know that there was something that was going to happen here. And it wasn't just going to be the day service, it was going to be something bigger than that. But I just didn't know what it was. But I just went in, and I think soon after the person who was the project coordinator had left. So I thought, well, yeah, I thought, you know what, I'm sure that I could do this job. So I applied for the job. So that job became mine in 1995 up until now. I'm not the manager, but I'm still working for them, because I resigned last year as manager. But yes, but from that moment of walking in, and at the time it was just offering a service. We had no ownership to that building. We had a key, we went in, we did our work, and we came back out again. And I think the council came in 2011. And I remember getting a call and asking to meet some councillors off-site. And it was about 7 o'clock in the morning. I had to go to a care home. And they were saying, you know what, by then the other groups had left. So we were the only one in the building that they felt that the building was too big for us to be the only occupants in the house. And they wished to sell the house. So I just said, all right, if that's the case, you go downtown, stand up on top of the highest building, tell the people about that then you're going to sell their heritage, because it wasn't left for Black people. It wasn't left because I was there. It was left to the city for 8 people. Maybe those 8 people didn't even know that they had something at Fairfield House. Well, from that, the council took a turn and decided to invite another group, a Rasta group from London, to come to Fairfield House without talking to the people within Fairfield House, not talking with people who had no Fairfield House and could do better in Fairfield House. Anyway, I'm not going to go too much into that. But then we then formed an organization called the Friends of Fairfield House. So and that was one of the most beautiful time in Fairfield House, because there were people coming from London, Birmingham,
Because
people
I
who,
was just gonna say that I think the first time I came there, I think his sister Wally took me there.
yes,
Yes, you know what I mean. The first time I came, my sister Wally bring to awareness because I stayed in Ethiopia with Sister Wally, and then she told me
mhm,
about this. I didn't knew we knew we was in England, but this highlighted I and I as the Rastafari now to come down to Bath and get more involved. You know what I mean? Sister Wally was the first person I think, and we came up from Birmingham with I don't know if you remember the Peace Foundation.
yes, yes.
Yes, you know what I mean. We came down for Bath and whatever you ride down there. And from that time, I've been coming here since. But I want to ask, how long have you been in England?
I've been here for 59 years.
59 years.
Yeah.
And that you've been residing in Bath for 59 years?
I left out just for 5. I moved away. When you think you're big, you're big people and you're going to make life. And I moved away.
Mm-hmm.
And 5 years I moved away, but then I came back and that was it. Never looked back.
Okay. Um,
But again, what you just said about Sister Willetta,
mhm.
so during that time from the 95 when I came in, there were events happening in Fairfield House, and she was very strong. She was such a strong, forceful person. I was in the house on Saturday at the Sabbath, and she was just I could just feel
You
her
could I get a
presence.
present? What a
The heartbeat of the drum. She
yes.
loved the drum,
She
and when the drum play, I'm even now I'm talking, I can sense that jump that she would jump. And the beat of the drum on Saturday night was just wonderful, just wonderful.
Sister, you can't say no to nothing what Sister Wally says. I was in Ethiopia. And she said, you Rasa, you're gonna stay with me. And this is the altar you're gonna pray every man. Stay out of trouble. Because in Ethiopia you will get in trouble. You know the girls. So you're gonna stay with me.
No, no, she was wonderful. I
Yeah.
loved her because you know what? She came by herself. She
Yeah.
loved Fairfield House.
Yeah,
She
she
didn't
did.
have to come with a group. She didn't have
Yeah,
to
that's
come with
good.
with crowds. Sometimes she would just come by herself. Sometimes you knew she came because she'd leave these beautiful flowers outside.
Yes.
And it didn't matter that nobody was in the house. And she helped to establish what we have today, with Ras Mandeli, with the
Truly.
different organization of Rasta that come to Fairfield House. And I can remember lots of that happening in our time. So yes, we have to big her up too.
Always Ras Bandali and people like Sister Wallet miss at this present moment.
Um, as we open up our conversation earlier, we
Mm,
know that in life we have to pass it.
true.
So when that happened, you miss the person. The
Truly.
legacy of that is missed. In the house, of course, with Raspandeli, even stronger because of the Sabbaths and because it happens and all the other functions that around Rastafari. So you
The
miss him
legacy.
more. So the legacy of him
True, true.
is preaching. It was just legendary just to listen to him to speak. Sister Walletta, you just you remember all the time, and because of that, we have photos in the house, and those photos will always be in the house because you will never forget. And of course, we have the sacred garden that you can talk about them. And Sister Walletta, there's a tree just by that garden that she would always come to. And I was there on Saturday. I don't know if you remember, if you saw me as I was walking around with
Yes,
the
yes,
incense,
yes,
and
yes.
that's where I was around that tree. So,
True.
she's always remembered. And for people that don't know her, we do
Yes.
call those names all the time. So there's always going to be the ancients who are always going to be called in Fairfield House. And if you know them, and if you don't know them, you will grow to know them.
True, true. What does victory looks like for you?
Victory.
Yeah, in your 30 odd days, what does victory, because it's victory days, I'm just throwing use victory as, yeah, what does it look like for you in 30 odd days, looking back from when you came until now? What does victory look like for you?
Well, I think victory looked like, we're still in the house. We got to certain points where we were even against each other, and we were not supportive of each other. We never
Sure.
supportive of the house in itself, because we all saw different things for it. So victory for me and yesterday is just standing in our house and the unity and the united that we are now, so nobody holds anything more than anyone else. And also his majesty, his words, because I've learned so much, because I wasn't brought up Rastafari. I didn't grow as Rastafari, but I've learned so much from Rastafari. And I think that victory is just the humbleness. I think with His Majesty, if you're of that, whether you're faith or you just listen to words, or you're in a space with someone that is true and is true to himself and is true to others, and if you grow with that, you will be victorious. Sometimes you might think, I don't have anything. You talk about 30 years. Someone said to me not long ago, but you've been here 30 years. What have you achieved? If we were, achievement is just being in that house, doing the things that we do in that house, the events in that house. If anybody's watching Fairfield House, it is no longer that day service standing alone. It is a community coming together. So victory is us knowing ourselves, knowing our culture, knowing our heritage, and upholding that and bringing to it our young people into it so that they know that. So, so 30 odd years is a long time. As you said, you're a boy, you're a man now, when you'll be grandfather too.
True,
So, but you know what? So we must be victorious with life. That
true.
when we have it is what we do with it.
It's true because I can tell you I've seen a lot of changes. I can
Oh,
see more harmony. I can see more
mhm.
purpose. I can see more focus. I can see more structure. You know what I
Yes.
mean? So as I said, the legacy that Priest Bandit left, and from even Sister Quality time, you know what I mean? I can see a lot of changes, and as I say, the journey still continue. You know what I mean? It don't stop today, and it don't stop for me, and it don't stop for you. You know what I
No.
mean? It's just creating a legacy. And how remarkable is that for the king for just give up the palace to to the whole community? You know what I mean?
That I think that is it, and that's what I said last night. Because we all had the opportunity to say something, and I think for him to have been there and to just to say, I want to give this for community. Imagine it's 90 years this year since he lived in Fairfield House.
Mm-hmm.
90. We're blessed when we we reach 90. But
True.
85 years ago, so we just throwing numbers now,
Mm-hmm.
70 years since he came back. So all those things, we must be thankful for that. He had that mindset, he had that thought, because he was thinking of people and, older people. And some people said that maybe because across the road, as you know, is Artist College, and that was a home for old for women, who were destitute. So maybe he saw that. Maybe he saw older people, after some of the wars and some of the destructions in the world, and he just felt that. And when I went to Ethiopia back in 23, we were fortunate to meet his butler at the time. So just asking him, how did Majesty move amongst the elders? And then he told a story of that there were lots of elders that lived in caves up in the hills, and His Majesty would go up there and spend time with them. So we know that he came away from that when he came to the Bath when he was in the UK, and he would have traveled, he would have seen, and maybe some people were being looked after well, some people were not. So where his thought was, I can't say, but again, I would assume that he looked at that and thought this would be a space for them, because it could have been an embassy, it could have been a place for students, but it wasn't. It was for aged people. So somewhere he saw something, in Bath, and the kindness of the people in Bath.
For real. The 5th of May is really Martyrs Day, for all of the people who stand behind Ethiopia in the World War II. And Priest Bandeli, Ayadan, all these man could say, Sister Wality, who else you can put in there over the years that is no longer with us?
Mhm.
Who else you can think of, like,
Oh my gosh. You know what? Some I think after Russian guy had gone, somebody
Rush?
called me and said, "What we need to do? We need to have those names and those names to be put up."
True,
So
true.
I'm not even going to start to list because I'm going to miss, and you're going to miss out on someone. But there've been many people. Whether you're starting up from the emperor, the empress, right down to even the elders who
True,
come to Fairfield
true,
now.
true.
So yeah.
Many,
But what we had started to do, and it's something that we should continue. We found some wheels. We were making a memorial building for the elders a couple of years ago,
mhm.
and as we dug up over on the side where that lion was, remember?
Yes,
And we found these big wagon wheels. So they're actually just leaned up against the wall. So I started to put it as a memorial with to hang names on it.
true,
But
true.
over years, they've sort of like tarnished. But I think we need to go back to that so
Yes,
that we do
yes.
have those names. So maybe another visit that you and I can have a
True,
conversation
true,
around.
true, true, true. It is vital, what I mean, that ones can be remembered for their works, what I mean. Because that is what Victory Day is all about, the martyrs, what I mean.
Hmm.
Yeah, and all the one that stood up and was there, what I mean. And future goals for Fairfield House and yourself.
Well, the future for Fairfield House, for me, as I said, I've stepped down as the manager because you want to see growth, you want to see progress. Not that there wasn't any there, but they can be better.
Mm.
And sometimes, not to hold on to something just because you feel that you're good at it, and you can't be good without others alongside you. So for me, for Fairfield and for Benska, that is it. For the trustees of Fairfield, you would have heard that William is stepping down. And in time, Princess Esther's done the same. And I'm not far beyond that, but we are now building a new structure. And new people are coming on board as well. We're also needing to look at Fairfield House in a way. I say this all the time. I said it's not a monetary thing, but you do need money because you have to look after your own house you have to pay your bills. So just being there is not um, that we want to be, and we want to hold it. If anyone comes to Fairfield out there, if you don't even know Fairfield, imagine this is a building that has been left, unloved for a very long time. But we were fortunate the council did spend £250,000 to fix the roof, so it doesn't leak anymore. Well, it hasn't leaked for the longest time. But can you imagine, water just coming through the ceiling whenever it rained heavy? The heating breaking down and all of that. So when people come, they see the polish, but you know what? It needs looking after. So all of us need to have that ownership in making some form of donation. It don't have to be monetary. It could be time. It could be skills. So that has got to be the future of Fairfield House, and we must be at the forefront of that. We can learn from others. We can learn from other organizations, other people, but I know that we have skilled people in our community, but I don't know if they're shy or what, or they, but they need to come forward.
And that is a very good point. Have Fairfield House have got a charity status?
It is a CIC, and yes, it has the numbers. It's a CIC, so it can raise money. It does get money from charity status too, because the Heritage Lottery funds it, so it can get money in that way. So yes, if anyone wants to know, they just get in touch.
Uh, have,
And
have you got any details for ones that is listening how they can donate if they wish to do so?
well, again, on our social media pages, there's a donate button. There are information. So if you want to go to Fairfield House, Bath, or HIM Bath, you will find that information.
Because it's a very important point to keep the legacy, because there's so much artifacts in that palace. It needs to be secured and
Mhm.
for further generation, you know what I mean? So as I say,
Really.
for running these building is not only being the present there, is financially capable of paying the bills.
It is, and it's
Yeah.
also, recently with the finance or the funding from Heritage, we were able to employ 4 staff. That
Mm,
we never had that. We've all to live on, volunteers, and
mm,
volunteers is what it is. Volunteer. You
mm.
turn up when you can, and then you have certain, a board of people who are just exhausted because they're trying to manage everything. So I think that we need to look at that future. That future must be brighter than what it is now.
Okay. Who is on the trustees of the board?
You've got Fisia, who's the chair,
Yeah.
Abby, Karen, myself, Raskos, uh, Blaine. Another thing, and again, Princess Alexander, you don't have to even be in the UK,
Yeah.
although it would be good for charity purpose. But, Blaine lives in Jamaica and
Mm.
Alexandra, she lives in America. But at the same time, they all give 100%.
Okay. Any final words of victory? Any inspiration? I want to ask you, who is your biggest inspiration, both as like maybe Malcolm X, Nelson? Where do you get your inspiration from and
All right.
motivation?
I hear what you're saying, and you're calling out those names. I think your inspiration should be from somebody close to you, somebody that is real to you. And I know we can look to those people for words, and as I've said, His Majesty's words is very powerful.
Mm.
But for me, my inspiration when I was growing and still is my grandmother. Because I learned so much from her, and I wanted to be so much like her. And you never asked me where we come from, but her name.
All right, tell me where you come from. Cause we had that discussion. Where you come from, the same place. Tell the people that where you come from.
Yes, from Spanish Town,
All right.
Colombia,
The Lord,
Colombia.
yeah.
So
How coincidental is that?
I
Eh?
have known you for years, for years, for years, and it wasn't until last year at Windrush
Mm-hmm.
that we're sitting outside and we're just there, everybody chatting
Uh,
and just reminiscing. And we then started to talk about Spanish. We started to
So,
talk about Della. We started to talk
uh,
about some places. And we're
uh,
like, what?
that's your
How come we never
uncle.
know that before?
You see?
Fort Park Lane,
Yeah.
Homestead.
All of them there. You might brush place with my granny and grandfather, but people, I mean, you know, I mean, those are his zones.
I'm telling you,
Yeah, yeah.
and it is just such a wonderful thing, communication. So either you're looking for inspiration,
Mm-hmm.
it's just talking to the person next to you sometimes.
Trust me.
That is where you get, yeah, and that's
True.
where my inspiration is the people I meet. I would never have met the people I know and the people I would never be able to express with if I wasn't at Fairfield House. So that to me is just inspiration all the time. Inspiration is when someone come and they're really down and out. And again, to people that don't know, Fairfield House is a space that brings lots of people with who needing lots of support, whether they're homeless, mental health, needing a friend. And but when you get there, you will meet somebody, and somebody will have that time for you. So I know under the BEMSCA umbrella, it does so much to support that. So yes, you can't quote anything to anyone if they don't know it, but if they can talk to somebody in real time, that is an inspiration for them to to to, to, to gain confidence in themselves and to better themselves. And looking around Fairfield House, we see that. We see that with the people who come there who can now garden, paint, who's developing themselves too. But there's only one person really, the inspiration at that place, and that is His Majesty.
Give thanks sincerely. And continue being the person you be. Continue having that smile on your face and as resilient as you can be and continue being forever young.
Hey. Well,
Yeah.
I shall continue now listening to you because I was watching you earlier, so I have to get back
Yes.
to home.
But I have to take time warm up myself because one of them days they have to start slow and get in the mood. But we get there in the end and we
We did.
give thanks for life, you know what I mean? And we're gonna have an official link up one day upon the YouTube because we are continue reason. Any,
No problem, no problem.
any final words to the listeners them you want to say?
Well, all I want to say is that, you know what, live your best life. Live your best life and do good for somebody else. It's not all about possession or, it's just making sure that I'm being knowledgeable. We're living in a time now where you can listen to all sorts and believe in all sorts, but just talking to each other, just giving that compassion to each other, you know? That's all.
That is so true. So we're gonna end on that note, compassion.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? It is vital to have compassion, you know what I mean? Because somebody might need it, and when they give it to them, it might save them life.
That is true.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So give thanks, Sister Wallace. May
My brother, you take care
you take
tonight.
care, you have a lovely night, and
All right.
big up yourself.
Good night.
Night.
Good night, people.
Yes, so that was Sister Wallace there of Fairfield House. She's the mother of the house, the matriarch, the patriarch. You know what I mean? In her real life, 30 odd years she's been there, giving her service, her time. You know, so it's not easy for the one place 30 odd years. That take dedication. You know what I mean? That take commitment, take resilience. You know what I mean? Take courage, take time. For being one place 30 odd years. Seeing, yeah, in a real life. His Majesty stayed in Bath for 5 years in exile here in England, and that's why he stayed in Bath. He left the palace to the city of Bath, to the people of Bath, not to one individual, not to sell it, but for the people of Bath. Yet still facing his old dilemma, have to go back to an invasion when the fascists invaded Ethiopia without artillery, without tankers, Not one piece of artillery, not one piece of tanker, yet still defeated the fascists, them, the Italians. So that is victory, confidence. You know what I mean? Took back his rightful place on the throne, 1941, when he entered Addis Ababa, the new flower. Right now, Addis Ababa really are come to pride in a real life. You see me, I say, look at Addis Ababa today. You know what I mean? Look at Addis Ababa today. It is so impressive in the development. A lot of this first class country, where them that claims them are first class, don't look like Addis Ababa. Actually, don't look like Addis Ababa. Even the investment Ethiopia exported revenue is set to jump from 3 billion to 10 billion by the end of this year. From 3 billion to 10 billion dollars. That is 3 times more than double the more than double, that is triple. So Ethiopia is also leading in investment. It is leading in 47%. It is PDG gone from 40 to 67%. 2,800 investors, both locally, are investing in Ethiopia. So Ethiopia has changed, and I think it is leading in East Africa, where certain things is concerned right now, both by net profit, both by growth, both by investment. They are also planning to build a new airport. You know, Ethiopia have the biggest airline of all the African country. Have never been liquidated since the initial operation of launch the Ethiopian airline. It is the biggest airline in Africa. Now they're planning to begin a next bigger airport than Boli Airport to facilitate the interflying in Africa and to expand the import and export of cargoes. So the growth is coming. We can see the growth literally. You know what I mean? 3 billion to 10 billion. It is the forecast in USD dollars for the forecast at the end of the year. If that is not growth, I don't know what growth is in a real life. Yeah, Martha's Day yesterday. Well, falling soldier them. You know what I mean? Well, falling soldier. Pass and gone. And we want to give thanks for life, you know, in a real life. We want to give thanks for life in a real life. Because sometimes life can be demanding. You know what I mean? But sometimes you have to stand there. You have to keep the fight. You can't run from it. You know? Yeah, you can't run from it. Sometimes you have to stand up. You know what I mean? You have to stand up in the fire and keep it burning. In a real life. Pick up yourself, Bill Simmons. And here in Bermuda. Asha in London, big up yourself. Blacks, big up yourself in London. Yeah, and as Rastafari, I keep moving forward up, you know, in a real life. Yeah, we keep moving forward up. And we look into 2030, the 100 years of the coronation. In a real life. All who never visit Fairfield House, please, we want to organize a trip from here in Birmingham. And the item can come have a visit. You know what I mean? As we say, also every first Saturday of the month, there's a sabbatical. You can make your way there, see, and all a joy with I and I, see, in a real life. Here we're streaming live on the Imperial Voice Radio, and I'm gonna jump back on the juggling and go on with the vibes, cause in a real life, but just feel for just kick back. You know what I mean? But just feel for just relax. Yeah, it's been a long weekend. And victory for me, really, when I talk about victory, really, right now, for I, how victory really look for I, is creating my own destiny. Seeing, fulfilling all my dreams, them, you know what I mean? That is what victory really look for me. If me not learn nothing from my mother, me learn one thing from her, that is you must learn to satisfy and be fulfilled. It's not everybody gonna be doctor. It's not everybody gonna be the biggest superstar. It's not everybody gonna rich. My mother always tell me, say you must satisfy with the little you have. If you make a pound, save 50 pence out of it. So me I say, so if me not learn nothing from that, I may learn that. How to be satisfied. You know, how to be content. You know what I mean? With what you have. Don't watch the next man want and feel like say him more than you. Cause John will give a man more than him can bear. You know what I mean? And him give the toughest road of them the hardest job. You know what I mean? So there them for know this. Be content, man. Build a legacy. Create your own destiny. You know what I mean? Yeah. Create your own destiny in a real life. Offer something to civilization. This is why we talk about legacy. You know what I mean? Because we say your time here on earth is that what people are gonna remember you for, you know, when you pass. The stuff them, the memories them, because you're no longer here with us in the flesh amongst the earthlings, you're in the spiritual realms. See? So the things them you do are that people are gonna remember you for. The memories them, the teachings and what you have done, the legacy you have left, the kids them you have planted, the seed you have set in creation. You know what I mean? Your seed them now come start with them thing because your seed is your afterlife. See me I say, you don't have no afterlife. If you don't plant a seed, you don't have no afterlife, you know. You don't have no afterlife. Your afterlife is in your seed. You see me I say it's like photosynthesis. See me I say so plant a seed in real life. You see me I say plant a tree. You know what I mean? Yeah, so the seed is important. It is very, very, very important. You know what I mean? That's why we don't have to eat seedless fruits. You know what I mean? If you don't have seed, you don't eat, you don't have to eat it. In real life. See me I say? Because part of photosynthesis, if you have seed, you know what I mean, must reproduce. It's a natural cycle. See me I say? So big up yourself if you multiply. And that is your afterlife. Your kids are your afterlife because that is your seed. Seed. That is your seed. Peace bond the seed live on in them kids them. You see me I say? Higher than seed live on in them kids them. And then them kids there come have more seeds and multiply the earth. You see me I say? So I just right there. Seeing in real life. All of the fallen soldier them. Just pour a little libation for them. You know what I mean? Whether mommy, maybe daddy, more time for pour a little libation for your ancestors them. You know what I mean? Make them know saying I forgot them in a real life. You see me I say, make sure say you not forgot them, you know, because them did it, you know. You know what I mean? You just not see them with a physical eye. You know what I mean? But them did it. See, them did it with the eye. See? So as I say every Wednesday is a talk show. And do good here and good to the follow you. You see me I say? These days me I try to humble myself more. You see me I say? Yeah, me challenge myself so hard in real life. It's hard to draw me out. You know what I mean? One time I didn't so trigger happy in real life. Yeah, me so trigger happy. You want even just say a wrong word to me. I'm gonna start to roar. Now you can say many wrong words to me. Many, many, many. You know what I mean? And I say there's not a line, you know, but you can say many. And it will have no effect. Because I train myself. You know what I mean? I train myself, restrain myself. You see me I say, yeah. So just make it make sense. You know what I mean? I'm a better version of myself than yesterday in a real life. In many things. Yeah, I'm a better version of myself than yesterday. And I guess it come with experience, it come with time. And you can also practice, become perfect. And sometimes people do bad habits and them keep doing it, so it come like common assault. So you can practice other good things to make it come a common assault. You see what I say? Yeah, in a real life. So practice the good thing then, man. You see what I say? Yeah, and make it come a common assault. Because everybody if you have common sense, you know, but me realize it not so common. You see what I say? Because them now practice the thing that them to do to make it become common. It makes sense? See? So make it make sense. I just say victory for me, consistency, man. You know, perseverance. Yeah. Perseverance. Create your own destiny. See your kids them being successful. You know what I mean? Because if your kids fail, you fail too, you know. You can't have it both ways. The kids fail, you fail because that is your seed. Your kids successful, you successful. That's the reality. It's no if nor much now, baby. You can't have it one way and don't have it the next way. You know, because your kids is your seed in reality. So if them fail, you fail. If them succeed, you succeed. Make sense. I real talk show. Yeah, we're up on the settings until 11 p.m. And we just all take it easy. We're not even like to go hard. You know what I mean? We're in our easy zone and we're kind of exhausted. You know what I mean? A bit make some beetroot juice today and drink up enough water, but we still feel kind of, you know what I mean? When the blood get hot, we feel better because we're mammal. You know what I mean? We're not reptile. So we blood have hot. You see me? In a real life. Pick up yourself, Sister P, wherever you be. Just go on, be good, be nice, keep me smiling. And as we say, persistence, you know what I mean? Yeah, legacy. Yeah, I'm gonna jump off for the YouTube live. Might join the TikTok in a bit. See how it go. Will you please stand?
first, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Judge 1000 Years. Some people call me Judge Better Must Come. I am from Africa, and I come to try all you politicians for selling out black people. In my court, only Peter, because I am facts. This is a people's court. Now, what you have here today?
Well, Your Honor, we have the defendants, Senator Sankey Singh and Senator Change Your Mind. Also, here is Mr. Reagan. But I think we shall deal with the senators here at a later date. We will deal with religious belief.
All right. Politician Sankey Singh and politician Change My Mind. You are brought here for tricking black people by promising them every 5 years.